Back in August, we told you how Specialized was facing huge criticism after workers at a factory that made their clothing were left unpaid to the tune of almost $600,000. To recap, this happened at a factory in El Salvador, which was a supplier for a number of big brands, including Specialized. And when they went bust 2.5 years ago, workers were left with unpaid wages and benefits totaling $1.3 million. Now, although they weren't legally obligated to help, a lot of the corporations that use the factory agreed to step in and compensate workers. At the time that we reported, the only company which didn't was Specialized. But a couple of weeks after we put that episode out, Specialized put a statement out on their website announcing that it had made a humanitarian donation of just over $44,000 to a court-administered fund to ensure the money reached the workers affected. Only, it's 5 months later and no one involved in the case has seen any of that money. In fact, they can't find a record of it ever actually being donated. And now lawyers handling the workers' case are sceptical of whether it was ever donated at all. So these latest allegations have been reported by the Escape Collective, who have been following the story for a while now. I'll link their article in the show notes if you want to get a full picture of this. But essentially, they've spoken to multiple lawyers and NGOs advocating for the workers who say there's no court records of the payments ever being made. No one on their side has been notified of its existence, and their contacts in the Salvadoran government have no knowledge of it either. So not only is it a tiny amount compared to what the workers lost, they've not actually received any of it.
So is this small donation admission of guilt?
No. Well, there is no guilt. There was no legal responsibility for anyone to help. However, all of the other brands, it's a social responsibility thing, I guess. I think a lot of these big businesses use countries like El Salvador because the working wages are low. However, instances like this happen a lot where stuff goes bust, or wage fraud is a big thing in El Salvador. So in terms of social responsibility, the question is, do you have a responsibility to step in when those things then go wrong? Yeah, and there's other elements of Specialized story that have been contested too. So Specialized says it last used the supplier in December 2021 and paid all of its outstanding contracts by March 2022, which was 5 months before the factory closed. But shipping manifests allegedly showed that products were flowing from the factory to Specialized, at least until May that year. And a lawyer for the Federation of Salvadoran Garment Workers Union told Escape that there were still undelivered Specialized goods inside the factory at the point it closed down. So it's fair to say that this situation is incredibly messy. And now Specialized have stopped responding to all requests for comment about it. They've said the statement that they put out on their website will be their final comment on the matter. And meanwhile, the workers are still left out of pocket.
It's just yet another thing that's not going to go away for Specialized. In the same way, none of the other times they sued small businesses went away, even though they eventually kind of came around and settled and things like that. But it just tarnishes the brand, and a brand that has a reputation for not being very nice.
I disagree. I think they're working on the basis of if they wait long enough, people forget. People will forget.
Yeah, I would disagree too. Although we have a bad opinion of Specialized, I think their sales figures would probably show that actually.
Yeah, people getting into cycling in the last 5 years, last 10 years probably don't know about those historic incidences.